right. Wake up, Brazoria County, the H, Golden Gulf Coast. Once again, it is time for Radio Robcast AM. Coming at you live, uncut, and unrated from Spreaker Podcast and Robcast Radio. So hold on, you little maniacs. Here's Zombie, and here we go. Yeah! I said, yeah! Wake up! Woo! What do you say, all you little maniacs out there across the planet Earth and the galaxy and beyond? Welcome to Robcast Radio AM number 17, guys. It's Friday, February the 24th, 2017. Oh, yeah, like the intro said, we are live, uncut, and unrated from Spreaker Podcast, Robcast Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in. Oh, and speaking of tuning in, man, I have got a couple of little old stories to tell you guys today. Hey, we are blessed to be alive, to be on the planet Earth today, guys. Let me switch lights. Everything looking good? Everything's looking good. What's up, bird? Got the bird even chirping in. Where, dirty little bird? Yeah. Speaking of birds, I have, hanging up in the shop out back, I have a little, it's an old, probably from the 1800s bedpan. You know what I mean? It's made out of metal. It's not something that I'm saying has been used in 100 years, so it's hanging on the wall because it's got, the bottom was rusted out, so it's hanging on a nail on the wall, just kind of like the decoration. Well, then they're building actually a go-kart, and we're going to talk about the wild go-kart ride here in a moment. I'm out there working, and I look up, and I see these little birds, a little bird with a stick, and I was like, wow. And they were going into that ornament that I had on the wall. Built their little nest. I guess they were going to have baby birds in the shop, so that's kind of cool. They say, I've heard that a bird's inside, that means good luck. Unless it's a crow or a raven, and then it means shaka-da-ga-ga! The ranger of death is upon you. Wow, got a wasp inside. What do you do, guys? Oh, yeah, you might get to hear live red wasp sting on the air. Yes. So rock and roll, guys. Yesterday we talked a little bit about gratitude, but you know what? That's behind us. Today is a brand new day. We're blessed to be alive, and I'm just shooting from the hip this morning because I definitely have maybe an interesting story to tell you guys. Maybe just remind everyone that they have a special talent today and that you should use that to your advantage, right? Use it before you lose it. And that my firm belief is that people should create something. You know what I'm saying? I like creative people. We can get into that a little bit later, but use your special talents to your advantage, guys. There are not enough people, let's put it that way, not enough people on the planet Earth that actually create something with their own two hands, or something that comes out of their mind becomes a reality. And I don't think it's necessarily that a lot of people feel like they're locked into dead-end jobs and that they wake up every day chugging on the old company cock. And I'm ready, we're breaking that cycle. I mean, a lot of the millennials decided that, hey, fuck it, we can work from home. We're going to work from home and y'all can lick my nuts. And I love that about them. That's awesome. Because I was one of the first people in my motorcycle shop, in my motorcycle business, went out in my body shop out back behind the office where I had my paint booth and everything set up. On top of my office, I had television. I was able to play, regular television, and I was able to play discs, motorcycle stunts and stuff like that, or whatever. Maybe I was watching, what would it have been? Maybe I was watching Independence Day while I was sanding a car down or color sanding a motorcycle. Hey, who gives a shit? It was my business, and I was getting my work done. I was meeting my quota, so I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to there, because I paid the bills. You hear me I'm saying? And I think that's a lot of mentality that the millennials carry along. And then that's a little bit different, the old timers that would come into my shop and go, "Why the hell you got that big screen up there? Smells like somebody's been smoking grass." And I went, fucking Larry Lemaire walked into my shop one day. "Smells like somebody's been smoking grass in here." Like he was like the prince. I was like, "What the fuck, man? What are you doing?" "I'm coming to check on my truck." "Well, go check on your fucking truck, dude. Smells like somebody been smoking grass in here." Hey, how about you go fuck yourself, man? I mean, to go back to 2001. That was a little while ago. And I don't even remember where I was going with that story. Oh, the fact that he didn't like the fact that I had a television in the shop playing while I was working on cars and stuff. Like now, I mean, fuck, people are. Have you all seen people be doing their job and they're more concerned with their mobile device than they are with what's actually going on around them. So with that, man, I would encourage you to fucking disconnect every once in a while. Disconnection is really a connection to Earth. And speaking of getting connected to Earth, it's a fact that every once in a while, take off your shoes, take off your socks, okay? Walk around on the Earth, on the ground, and all of the negative electrons that are built up in your body are going to release by grounding out into the ground. Sometimes that's a fact. You got to walk around on the ground to literally to ground your body out, guys. That's a factual, actual kind of thing. So we're going. At some point in the program, I think we'll probably take a minute to say thank you, like maybe right now. Thank you, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, for doing what you bad motherfuckers do to keep our country free. Thank you for your service, past, present, and future. Robcast Radio will always back the badge, back the blue, support your local peace officers, your local police force. Get to know a cop. They're good guys, man. They just want to get home to their family at the end of the day, just like you and I do, guys, and represent first responders, firefighters, and EMTs, because when everyone else runs away from danger, police officers, firefighters, and EMTs, they run straight into it, guys. And for that, we will always give them respect. Now, speaking of respect, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the number 13 wild go-kart ride. I built a go-kart for the neighbors, my neighbor across the street. Now, built it with them in mind. He ended up purchasing it and being a complete revamp. We zombie shit out here. So I rode this go-kart and I'm like, I started to change the gear ratio. I started to change out the gear ratio on it because I wasn't sure to put a 4.5 horsepower Honda engine on this little two-seat go-kart. Oh, I like that one. Flip. Yeah! Time to wake up! Yeah! Death metal. Can we turn that down just a little bit, Flip? Give me some of the other stuff. Great. I like it. So number 13. Cool little red go-kart. Picked it up. Took it in on trade. The engine had issues, so we put, I figured we'll put a little bit into it and make it something kind of awesome. So when the little kid sees it, they go, yeah! However, I didn't intend on it being, whoa! I can tell you this. I put this little go-kart together and I started to put a smaller sprocket on the back, on the lower, simply because the sprocket that was on it have seen its better day. However, I was able to regrind it a little bit, make it and shape it up. Not recommended. But being that I do what I can do with what I have sometimes. And so I get this. A neighbor has a brand new Honda engine sitting there. I'm like, hey man, I've got this go-kart and I'm fixing to start throwing screwdrivers and wrenches to have to fuck with this carburetor. I'd rather just pull it off and let's set that Honda engine on here and let's see what it does. So we put the Honda engine, torque master clutch, built Frankenstein together this braking system for it because it had no brakes. Well, I can tell you that I put it together, it all worked. However, I had to move the motor over a little bit. The first time I rode it, right, and I'm thinking it has a high gear ratio to where it should top out really fast, which means it might be quick, but it's not going to go extremely fast. So I took this thing down the road and back and turned it around. Like, this thing feels like it's like powerful for a go-kart, powerful. And wow. And then I like opened it up and not like pin you to the seat like a race car or anything like that, but I bet you I got it up to 50 and then I shut it down and my braking system didn't work that great. So I took it back, revamped everything, moved the motor over, make sure everything was right and tight, put a new chain on it, did all the little stuff that I needed to do. And I was like, I needed 2 springs. Still need 2 springs, and I'll tell you why. The return spring that makes the throttle return back to 0 after you push the gas was on there, strong, tight, everything. The return spring that returns the braking system back to its neutral point was on there, right and tight. And I drove the thing around, I repositioned the engine, redrilled some motor mounts, tightened everything back up, and then took it across the street to the neighbor, right, who had purchased it for his grandson. What's really messed up is that they called me back over there and said, when we push the gas down, it doesn't go, which means that the clevis at the end of my throttle cable that goes through the throttle rod that you actually push with your foot had come loose. It's a cable. It's a little 10 millimeter. Wookie-doo. Fix it. So I had a feeling. Well, I had told my neighbor. I told GW across the street. I was like, now GW, I'm gonna let the paint dry for a day or two, because it's still wet. Let the decals dry and everything like that, because it's all fresh. And then I'll bring it over. Well, I told him, I said, well, I'll bring it over in the morning. We'll ride it. I'll drive it around the block to make sure it doesn't have any issues. And, I'll leave it at your house because I wanted to test drive it. I don't know why. Always test drive. I always do that. I always test it out myself to make sure nothing's going to go wrong with the little one on it, correct? Oh, my goodness. Well, I did not test drive it, and it had a failure on the actuator for the foot pedal, for the cable. Okay, no problem. So I brought it back over to the shop, and I fixed that. Okay? I fixed that, and I took it out to the front of the property, and I'm just going to drive it down the road real quick. And I started out going one way, like in a field,